It's a real pleasure for me to talk about the Wellbeing project, especially as we've just got some early results. And as you can imagine, it was quite a brave decision to actually embark on the Wellbeing project in the first instance. What inspired South Tyneside to embark on this project was a session we had with Professor Richard Laird from the London School of Economics, who wrote a book called The Politics of Happiness. He in turn put us in touch with Jeff Morgan, who in turn introduced us to Martin Seligman. And as you can see, this probably isn't too dissimilar from the visions that you have in the local authorities or perhaps the organisations that you represent. We have 1 in 14 of our young people who will have suffered from bullying, anxiety, mental health or depression by the time they reach 16 years of age. And we have a higher than national average prevalence of mental health. And we wanted to try and come up with a whole range of issues which impacted on well-being. Now, I don't believe that you can teach, you can't teach people to be happy. What we do try and do in South Tyneside is to remove the barriers, the things which actually get in the way of people being the best that they can be. And I think traditionally in local government, we've been concerned with the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, looking after people's physiological needs, making sure they've got a roof over their head, that they've got safe roads, they've got street lights, and where there are particularly vulnerable people, that the local authority steps in and looks after them. The area that I think we are moving into around wellbeing is very much concerned with individuals' self-esteem, with their sense of belonging to place, and with trying to nurture an environment where acts of kindness and goodness are celebrated. And I'm going to come on and talk a little bit. But primarily, what we want in South Tyneside is for everybody who lives there to have the opportunity to be the best they can be. And we decided to focus on a number of wellbeing initiatives, which are pretty much cradle to grave. And the wellbeing initiatives, what we've tried to do is measure the success that we've had in each of the interventions to the best of our ability, but it's incredibly difficult to do that, which is where the partnership with the Young Foundation, who've got a fantastic track record in introducing social policy and measuring and evaluating whether or not it's successful. So that's been a really powerful partnership for us. The areas that we have in South Tyneside where we have a highly deprived range of neighbourhoods, particularly around engaging neighbourhoods, the positive parenting, nurturing a sense of belonging and a sense of place, reducing the isolation of older people. What is important at the moment is the reducing financial exclusion. And we've just launched our own credit card in South Tyneside in partnership with our credit union, and we're doing some quite interesting work around that. The emotional resilience programme, what we needed was an intervention in children's lives to try and give them some skills to cope, where it was absolutely evident that our children, particularly in secondary school, were unable to cope with the normal life in South Tyneside. And the Seligman programme had worked already in the States by trying to intervene with young people and give them coping strategies to try and prevent young people falling into thinking traps. It gives young people skills when they are going through periods of adversity and challenges their beliefs. It's about letting young people know that things are not as bad as they may seem. The way that our young people socialise today is very often electronically. Their ability to develop social skills is reducing considerably. And whilst I really do believe technology is a massive force for good, there are some really significant consequences of young people losing their ability to socialise. We've only been doing this in South Tyneside for 2.25 years now, but we commissioned the London School of Economics to carry out the research and evaluate how the project is doing, and the early headline results are incredibly positive, so much so that we are going to train another 44 teachers over the summer holidays. and we have expanded the scheme and are trying to use this with our looked after children in an older age group, and to explore the possibility of using it to combat isolation of older people. It has had a significant positive impact on people's depression and anxiety. The pupils themselves are positive about the programme. The teachers are positively evangelical. And some of these are really, hard-nosed, cynical teachers, but they are passionate about this programme. For me, having worked in local government for 34 years, because I started when I was 2, it's really important that, this is what gets me out of bed in the morning, really. Things that change people's lives for the better. And there are hundreds of anecdotes such as these, where children have actually stepped up to the mark and used the skills that they've been given in that lesson. The other area where we try to enhance wellbeing is work that we're doing with the parenting programme. Family breakdown in South Tyneside is perceived as a significant contributory factor to people not leading happy and fulfilled lives. We celebrate acts of kindness and goodness in South Tyneside by holding a mirror up to those things for 20 weeks of the year. And in fact, our celebration is next week. And these are people who either give to their communities environmentally, or they perhaps look after each other. So we will have Good Neighbours Awards, we will have children who have come through adversity, we will have people who have helped other people in a whole variety of circumstances. We've now done this for 7 years, and the impact on this is that people feel better about the place where they live. They feel safer, I'll come on to this in a minute, but more importantly, they feel as if they have an opportunity to influence where they live and change lives on their own without needing an institution to do that. If we want to achieve these things in our communities, that won't happen by osmosis, and I think what we need to do is perhaps change the way that we work with our colleagues in local government. Now, in South Tyneside, in fact in the northeast of England, the public sector accounts for 67% of the GDP. So it's vitally important, because a huge number of our population are actually within our workforce, that we make sure that we recruit around the skill set that we need to work with people in the communities in the future. I'd like to just say a little bit about another social capital programme where we try and harness talent which resides within our local authority area. And that's a Happy at Home programme where we met with all of the faith groups in South Tyneside and brought them together. And we explained to the Happy at Home people that because we've got a tsunami heading towards us around the demographics, the number of older people we will have. So previously, when my mum got old in Ashington, she would have had a home helping who might have made a bit of breakfast or maybe did a bit of shopping, and those days have gone, and that situation around eligibility for care is going to worsen. We're not told the faith groups this. They stepped up to the mark as a group, and they said that they would help in terms of the isolation of older people by going to visit. We're at the point now where we have some fantastic volunteers who help us with the work with the isolation of older people. And this is just one anecdote from this. Thank you for bringing my dinner. They do a variety of different things. Sometimes they do day clubs, sometimes they go visit, sometimes they take library books, sometimes they help with Sudoku, whatever it is that's required. But this one was on Christmas Day. So I think what we've tried to do in our Wellbeing project in South Tyneside is not to rely on the institution of the council or an agency such as health, but it's about looking either globally, if you take Martin Seligman, and looking at what's best practice in the world and how might we capture that in locality, but also more importantly to capture the social capital which resides and exists already within our localities. And the concept behind all of this is that really none of us is as clever as all of us. And if ever there was a time for us harnessing the talent of everybody in our community to try and help everybody else through the very difficult time that we have facing us in the public sector, then that time is now.